Here's your Tustin area 92780 condo homeowner report. We've got a separate report for single family residents. We also have separate reports for Tustin Ranch and for North Tustin. So if you want to look at those, go to our channel and just search our current market area updates and you'll see it. So we're going into February 2022. Let's get started. So guys, Monday, February 15th, or sorry, February 14th, Valentine's Day, just a reminder, you're welcome. Okay, all right, let's go. We're going to talk about price data, we're going to talk about sales data, and we're going to talk about predictions as we move forward. Of course, if you want to keep up on these updates that we do them every single month. And so just go to our channel. You're probably on our channel right now, or you're watching one of the videos. Just hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell notification. That way you get notified every time we do it. We just do the updates once a month. So you get notified, okay, it's there. And it gives you a way to just keep up on what's happening in the market. Okay, so let's talk about price data here. Here we go. So for condos, again, remember, this is for condos in the 92780 zip code. So if we look here, we're always looking for trends and everything like that. So we go 5 months back, and then what we do is we look at median and average. The reason we do that for you mathematicians is because there's just not enough data to get a good solid median on the information that we have. So we include the average just as kind of like a cross-reference to see if there, again, if there are any real big trends one way or the other happening. So we go here median and we go back and we can see what's happening. We kind of peaked out in November at 562 as a median, dropped back down to 480, and now we're back up to 526 for the median price range for condos in 92780. We peaked out here at 558, 490 in November also. And then as an average, it jumped back up finally to 554, 600, which is close to that high median, right? So this is a good sign that things, we're kind of staying steady. There's no real big ups or downs happening here. It's just kind of just fluid movement as we go through the market like normal. And then if we look at the sold percentage of list versus sale price. So list price versus sale price are overbids. How much more or less are people paying for your condos when you guys put them on the market? And right now, we were hovering around 1%, right? So homes were selling at 101% of their list price. So they would sell it for 1% above what they listed it for. And then in December, it went to 104.4%. So 4.4% above what you were asking for your homes. Now it's at 103 or 3% above what you're asking. And this is a good indicator, because what that means is if you price your home properly, where it should be competitively, then people are going to kind of fight over it, right? And they're willing to bump it up to make sure that they get that home, as opposed to overpricing it and going, well, hey, if they want a higher price, they can just ask. I mean, if they want a lower price, they can just ask, which most people are not going to do anyways. But especially in a market like this, they just figure your crazy overpriced home is going to sell anyways. But what you may not realize, and we should put expireds on our reports, and maybe we'll do that next month, because there are homes that are expiring. They're coming on the market and they're sitting there for a few months, and they're not selling, and it's probably because they have their prices way too high for their expectations. So keep things reasonable, and then you'll get people fighting over your property. Let's talk about cost per square footage sold. So we're hovering around 460, 40, 30. We jumped up to 511, but 486 is where we landed at the end of January as an average for your cost per square footage sold. That's a pretty good price. It's a good benchmark for you to kind of go, okay, gosh, what might my condo be worth in the 92780 area? Like I said, it's just a benchmark starting point, condition, location, all the other factors, lots of other factors that come into play before actually putting a good price on your property. Let me know. We can help you out with that, of course. Let's get into sales data for 92780 condos, okay? And so let's talk about new listings. Okay, so guys, the number of new listings that are coming into the marketplace are so beyond ridiculous low. I mean, it's just, it's crazy. which is good for you, the homeowner, because that means you don't have a lot of competition. And either your place will be unique because there's no other ones in your immediate area that are being sold that are like yours, or even if there are, it's, people are fighting over the two, and and you're gonna get it sold quick for a very good price. So in Tustin 92780, there are 1,985 condos. Okay, when there's 1,985 condos, but in January we only 9 of those came on the market. 9. That is crazy. What that translates to is 0.4% of 1%. So not 1% of these homes came on the market. 0.4% of 1% came on the market. That is just bananas low. Okay, so again, good for you. You don't have the competition. Okay, let's talk about days on market. Now, this is the one that I'm kind of going, gosh, this is really interesting. Why days on market for condos are so high, and I have kind of my thought on this is that a lot of people they'd rather have a house, right? I mean, I think most people would rather have a house, and if they're going to have a house, they're going to try to shoot for that. But then they kind of go, oh no, I think we got to go with a condo, right? And so there might not be as many people in the buyer pool specifically looking for condos until they realize, well, that's what we're going to have to do. But I can't say 100% for sure. But this is really unique and odd for the market right now. 29 days. 29 days, what that means is 29 days until you actually get a viable offer, one that you're willing to accept, okay? Now, that might include a few days for negotiating, so maybe you have a couple offers that you're trying to figure out, but at 29 days, probably not, okay? And you can see this trend is kind of going up, 16, 20, 25, 22, 29. So we're going to keep an eye on that and see what's going on with that and why why it's taking so long for people to make a decision. One other factor is that, a lot of the condos in the Tustin area, they're just older. They're older condos. It is what it is, and so if they have to weigh things out between maybe going into Tustin Ranch and then looking at the condo prices there, crazy, okay? Or coming into Tustin and go, you know what? It's older, but we can afford this, okay? So 29 days, interesting. We'll keep an eye on that. Okay, closed sales. So in January, we had 10 that closed. Okay, so if we go back to, let's see if I can get back there real quick. New listings. So we had 9 come on the market, yet we had 10 closed sales. Okay, so that means that there's more closing than there are coming into the marketplace. That means shrinking inventory. Again, good for you because it's like, hey, they don't have much to choose from. They got to buy something, okay? And this is what's there, okay? So that's good for you. Months of supply. Yeah, look at these numbers. This is incredible. So months of supply is simply if you took every condo listing in 92780, you took all those, and then from going forward, no new condos were allowed to be listed in 92780. How long would it take to sell this remaining bunch of condos? And in January and in December, it was 0.4 months. What that translates to is about 12 days. 12 days, and every condo sold. That is crazy low from a typical real estate market standpoint. So, that's a good indicator because it'll just kind of tell you, yeah, people are definitely still looking for your condo, but it's still confusing with the days on market. So we're just going to keep an eye on that. Active listings at the end of January, there's 5 active listings. Again, this is what you got to choose from. Of the condos in Tustin, this is what you got to choose from. There, that's it. Okay, so 5 active listings at the end of January. But this is a slide that we've just recently added. It's something we're putting in here because we think people need to be kind of keeping an eye on this. Not something, it's not, the foreclosure thing is not, you'll see when I explain the numbers here, not that big of a deal in Tustin yet, but if trends continue the way that we're looking at for the county, it could be a factor. It could be a factor. So we'll keep an eye on that. But if you take a look, so what I've got here, and this is for all of 92780, not just condos, not single family. It's for all of 92780. So the first column is notice of defaults. Notice of default is that first document that is recorded, that's filed and sent to you that says, hey, you got to bring your mortgage current, or we're going to take your house back. And that's 90 days. It's kind of like a 90-day warning that they give you. They say, hey, 90 days, we've got 90 days. We're going to give you 90 days to bring a current, or we can do this. Now, doesn't mean that they will do it in 90 days. They can extend it out if they want to. But I think lenders are getting a little aggressive right now, especially following the pandemic, when they have people living in houses that weren't making payments for 2 years. Okay, so... And then the second column is the notice of trustee sale. After that 90-day period, the lender records a new document called a notice of trustee sale saying, fine, you didn't bring a current. Here's the notice of trustee sale saying that your house will be sold on this date. So now you know when your house is going to be sold, and they sell it at auction, and there's a new owner, and then they come and they, if you're still there, they kick you out. Okay, it's the process, okay, in a nutshell. Anyway, so when we look at Tustin 92780, we're looking at very few notice of defaults being filed and relatively few notice of trustee sales. However, what's really interesting is we have more notice of trustee sales than we do notice of defaults. That's flip-flopped, okay? And so when we look at the county numbers, it's the same thing. We got a whole lot more notice of trustee sales than we do notice of defaults. Usually, it's the other way around. You get a whole bunch of notice of defaults, right? And then some people go, oh no, let's catch up on our mortgage. Some more people go, oh, let's just sell the house because, yeah, unfortunately we can't stay there. And so then whatever's left over is the number of notice of trustee sales that are filed. So it's a very interesting dynamic. I've been doing this since 1997, and I don't recall ever seeing this being the case. I don't remember if in 2008 this happened, but first time that I recall seeing it for as long as I've been selling real estate. So very, very interesting. And I think what's happening here is that we've got a lot of those lenders who all along throughout the pandemic, they were filing notice of defaults. They're saying, well, you're in default, you're in default, you're in default. And again, because those notice of defaults don't expire, technically, they just, as long as you're in default, you're in default, okay? And then what they can do is, at that point in time, they're just waiting for the moratorium to be lifted, and then they all of a sudden go, oh, finally, now we can take that property back. And that's probably what's happening here, because if you look here, historically, I think lenders try not to during the December period, the holiday period, to issue notice of defaults, but they didn't stop. But in January, the numbers dipped down a little bit, 93, 104, 101, so it's still right about there. We're going to see. We have to keep an eye on this, and it's important because as we move forward through February and through the next few months going into summer and stuff, if the trend doesn't switch where it goes back to more notice of defaults than notice of trustee sales, then we've got a whole different issue on our hands that we really have to pay attention to and could cause us some problems going forward. So we're going to keep an eye out on that for you. So subscribe, hit that bell notification so when we do these updates, you will get notified. Hey, here's something going on. We need to pay attention to, okay? So, and then, so it's important, really important. The hardest hit cities in Orange County right now with foreclosures is Garden Grove, Fullerton, Fountain Valley, and Laguna Beach, okay? So, it's happening. It's happening right now because that moratorium was lifted. Let's talk about housing predictions for 92780 Condos. But first, I just want to say, look, if you're thinking about selling your condo in Tustin, there's no reason to pay really high commission fees. Just call us. We have a 1% listing fee that we charge to get your condo sold, and we get you more money and then put more money in you get to keep more of your equity when you close because you're not paying it all out to commissions and all that stuff. So happy to talk to you about that if that's what you're planning on doing. All right, so in historically, we talked about this last month where every year in December, the new listings drops like a rock. And then we know that every year in January and February, the new listings pop onto the market, right? Which we kind of showed that, okay, we got more listings coming on the market, still nothing of any significance, right? So not so much a prediction or anything like that, but just kind of like, yeah, okay, that's kind of what's happening here in the area. But when I look at things and I go, okay, what are things that are going to affect the housing market right here? We have articles like this popping up, man. We're talking about, the national debt hits 30 trillion as economists warn of impact for Americans. Now, okay, great wordsmithing there. What impact on Americans? What does it mean? What does impact on Americans mean? Take it for what it is, right? But in my simple mind, I'm looking at that going, you know what? Cost of living is much higher, right? People are they can't afford to go out and eat like they used to, and people are not buying cars because cars are so darn expensive, and just the overall landscape of the whole economy. And if people are having a hard time with just regular daily expenses, how are they doing when it comes to being able to buy your property? So right now we're in a good place where we could still sell it. We'll sell it relatively quick and get a really good price for it and make a lot of good equity. But if the economy continues the way that it is based on articles like this, then we're potentially going to see a little shift in the marketplace. What that shift looks like, I don't know. But then this comes up today. This just came out today. I'm recording this on February 2nd. U.S. troops to deploy to Eastern Europe and Ukraine crisis. That's all we need is to get involved in something like that. I mean, this is not, small time stuff. This is big time stuff when we're talking about going, head to head with Russia and stuff like that. So could that affect us as well? Yeah, it certainly could. So definitely keep an eye on those sort of things. And what it does is it takes away consumer confidence, right? Of, oh my gosh, should I buy now or are we gonna have a war? And if we have a war, what's gonna happen? And then, so take it for what it is. But then we see a bunch of articles like this. Mortgage rates reached a 22-month high of 3.75 last week. This was just January 24th. Mortgage rates forecast for February 22. Rates headed higher. February 1st, rates rise. Okay. Prediction: California housing market will cool in 2022. Now, there's on the other side of the flip side of the coin. There's people who are saying, there's no way this is going to end. And that to me sounds like what happened in 2008, where people were very excited about what was going on and they did not prepare for a change. There's always change. I've been in this business for a long time, and it goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down. And so people want to be hopeful about it. But there's also the people who are saying, oh my gosh, the market's going to, rates are going up and the market's going to crash and it's going to cool off and do all this stuff, right? And why this is important that these articles are here and you need to kind of go, okay, how does that affect the housing market, is because this is what it creates perception in buyers' minds, okay? And so while the inventory is so low, it's not really going to be a big deal right now. But as inventory starts to grow, as you see over the next couple of months, if it does, as inventory starts to grow, buyers are going to kind of go, well, you know what? Rates are going up, so I can't afford as much. The news is saying that the market's cooling. Somebody else is going to start reporting that foreclosures, hey, they're kind of going up, right? And then everybody's going to go, whoa, okay? And so it creates that perception in the mind, and it causes them to do different things, right? So we got to kind of pay attention to these articles and these stories that are coming out to see how they're going to affect other people. And then on the other hand, we have corporate investors remain bullish in the real estate market, right? And what they're talking about is they're talking about these investors who are buying up large quantities of properties in these major metropolitan areas, and in some areas, and this is like kind of more Midwest stuff, but they're saying that investors are owned like 30, 40, I think even 47% of this major metropolitan area. And the downside to that, from my perspective, is that what it does is now all those homes that were owned by individual owners, they're taken out of the buying cycle, right? Because people buy a house, they live there for a certain amount of time. It could be 3 years, it could be 30 years. But then they turn around and sell it, right? So there's constant movement in the real estate market. Well, now if they're buying up, 30, 40, 50% of those communities, that takes all those out of that mix. And so is that a good thing? Or is it a bad thing? You could say, well, it's good because now there's less competition when I try to go sell my house. But at the same time, I don't know, it creates a whole, rental environment that is, different than, single family homeowners. And we'll talk about that one in a second. SoCal housing inventory at a catastrophically low level to start. So yeah, catastrophic for the buyers because there is none, okay? But this beauty right here, SB 9. Piece of brilliant work right there, let me tell you what. So what SB 9 says is that you can take a single family resident lot, okay? Just a lot that has one house sitting on it in a neighborhood. And now you can divide that lot into 2 parcels, and on each of those parcels put 2 units. Okay, so essentially what you're doing is you're taking that one house and you're putting in 4 units. Okay. They're saying that this is as a response to the housing crisis and easing the process for, people to develop, more housing for people. And my opinion, I'm going to give you my personal opinion on it. I think this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. And the reason is because what it does is it doesn't solve the housing crisis problem at all. It doesn't solve it at all. What it does is it destroys neighborhoods. So you have neighborhoods that are established, they're well-established people, they're there, they bought there for a reason because, it's nice, it's quiet, we got, lots, we got yards, we got this, that, and everything. And now your neighbor decides, you know what? I can do that. I'm going to scrape my house and I'm going to put 4 units there. Okay. And, they use it for rental income. Okay. Whatever. But then they go, okay, well, now I can, now we got parking issues because people are going to be there, each unit has 3 cars. You know what I mean? Now you're going to have, just other issues. And, not to pick on renters, but I think renters they don't have as much of a pride of ownership. Generally speaking, I know you're the perfect renter if you're watching this. I know that. Don't send me hate mail. But, it's not their property. So they're kind of like, hey, well, if the paint's peeling or it's falling apart or this, that, whatever, it's not my problem, right? And so I think that brings the quality of the neighborhood down. Or the other scenario is you have an investor who buys a property, because, mom or dad or grandma or somebody passed away. They buy this house that is in, need of, some serious rehab. And instead they do the same thing. They go, well, how about instead of me rehabbing this one house, I can put 4 units there. And according to SB 9, there's nothing that the city, the county, or the state can do about it, right? So you're going to end up finding out that there's going to be pockets of these throughout neighborhoods because not everybody's going to do it. Nobody wants it. I bet you if you were a homeowner now and you're sitting there, as a condo owner, you're sitting there going, well, it doesn't really matter to me, okay? But it does, because then it affects other areas, it affects values in those neighborhoods, and that trickles down into the condo community, okay? So what's the solution? I think, this is my opinion again, I think, there's so much land out there that the county owns, that the state owns, that the federal government owns. If they're worried about creating high density housing, go use that land and build, right? But no, what they do is they put restrictions on all this land, and the whole, I'm not even going to get into it because it'll just agitate some people. But but they put all these restrictions so that people can't build on those lands, and then they call it a housing crisis because builders have nowhere to build. So anyway, this, yeah, not my favorite thing in the whole wide world. Okay. All right, guys. Hey, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to call, text me, whatever. You got real estate questions, buying, selling, anything. It doesn't matter. Just call, text. I'm happy to chat with you at any point in time. You got any comments or thoughts on anything we discussed, put it down in the comments. And right here is a video popping up that you should probably watch. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.